Hello everyone, my name is Robert Jean and welcome back to another video. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the Sun 500, the legendary, always entertaining Sun 500. And tonight was no exception. Tonight's Sun 500 was great. I thought it was a really good race, really entertaining, from start to ending with different elements forming a great race, which were a bit of tempers, lots of strategy, some passing, some good battles, all the above, and a bit of chaos sprinkled in because the past couple of races at Darlington have been nothing but a bit of chaotic. So, why not? So, let's first of all talk about the racing. The racing was pretty good in my opinion. Darlington's always been a track that's been tough to pass, always hard to pass the leader because of clean air, or sometimes, even because of dirty air when you're behind the leader. So, those played a significant part into it, so can't really do much. But yeah, again, despite that, the racing was still pretty entertaining, better than the spring in my opinion. Good racing, fun battles, bit of chaos, bit of drama, especially a lot of drama, which why don't we get into it right now? A lot of playoff drivers had problems. A lot of playoff drivers had problems. Danny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Michael McDowell, Bubba Wallace, Kevin Harvick, plenty of playoff drivers in this race suffered from some sort of issue. There was also a heap of incidents. First ones that come to my head, this is like stage 2. This is Austin Cindric, Ty Gibbs. Cindric tried to perform a slide job on Ty Gibbs, but fortunately didn't work. They both collided, similar to how Ross Chastain and Kyle Larson collided in the first spring Darlington race, which was a bit of an unfortunate thing there back then, and it's unfortunate today. Two young drivers come from Xfinity to Cup, getting into each other. It was unfortunate. But a bit of now the playoff struggles. We got, at the beginning, Christopher Bell, who exiting turn 2 got extremely tight, just lots of understeer, and basically smashed the outside wall. It was a pretty hard hit. This is early in the race, stage 1, where he suffered that issue, and that caused him a lot of toe link damage. Parts of the suspension were pretty damaged, and his race basically got compromised. I mean, he was towards the latter half, mid part of the top 20 for basically all night, which was definitely a shame because Bell, despite starting on the pole, despite having the number 1 pit stall, unfortunately, all these things came crashing down as that incident occurred. And honestly, with the toe link damage, he really can go anywhere. Finished, I believe, outside of the top 20. We'll get to the results later. But yeah, that was an unfortunate turn of events. Another driver, or a couple of drivers, who had playoff struggles were Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Michael McDowell, and Ross Chastain at the beginning. Stenhouse, he suffered a penalty in pits. I believe it was either for speeding or too many people over the wall, and that unfortunately cost him a lap. He had to go a lap down, and this is what I was talking about last time in one of my previous videos, getting a bit of a preview for the playoffs. Especially right now, round 1, you cannot make mistakes, and well, a lot of teams apparently didn't get the memo. There were a lot of mistakes. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. made a mistake, which was speeding. Christopher Bell made a mistake, understeer, and also his pit crew also made a mistake early in the race. And I believe the first cycle pit stops, pretty slow stop, unfortunately cost them some positions. And again, as I previously mentioned in my review video for the playoffs, everyone's got to be perfect. Everyone, driver, pit crew, crew chief, spotter, everyone's got to be in their A game, especially in the playoffs. But yeah, it turned out to be a problem. But as for Stenhouse, Bell, who suffered issues, Michael McDowell also suffered issues. He was just nowhere, really. He suffered with an extremely tight car at the beginning. Same thing happened in the middle part. Same through first 100 laps, 200 laps. He just was not really anywhere, really. It was a long, grueling, and pretty painful day for Michael McDowell, which ended up with a DNF. Unfortunately, got involved in a late race crash around stage 3 that involved 3 playoff drivers: Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and himself. And technically Kyle Busch, as he was basically the creator of the incident. This was final laps of the race, kind of like 30 laps to go. Kyle Busch 3 wide. He was the inside. The outside he has Todd Gillen and Austin Dillon. They're sliding into turn 4, and unfortunately, KFB kind of even know Gillen was there, made contact with him and Austin Dillon. Unfortunately, that caused Todd Gillen to spin out and spin out almost in front of the second half of the field, collecting Denny Hamlin, who also struggled with a loose wheel, problems in the pits. And the worst thing is Denny Hamlin had arguably the best car of the entire night. He was the #1 car, but that loose wheel, stage 2 or beginning of stage 3, really hurt him. It cost him to go a lap down. It was really pretty bad. Honestly, a bad day. It was a good yet bad day for Toyota, because here's a bit of a mind-blowing stat. Toyota tonight led 307 of 367 laps. All to show for, only 2 cars that are Toyotas finished inside the top 17. Joe Gibbs Racing cars finished 18th, 21st, 23rd, and 25th. The definition of an up and down night. Pretty rough. They had great pace, really great pace, and well, costly mistakes, both in the pits, both in the drivers, and yeah, 367 laps. Only 2 cars in the top 17 are Toyotas. Pretty rough. But back to some of the playoff struggles. Denny Hamlin again, around stage 2, beginning of stage 3. Loose wheel, costed him a lot. Michael McDowell's again, super tight car. Christopher Bell, that incident in the beginning of stage 1, middle part stage 1, when they're having their first pit cycles, hit the outside wall, towing damage. Other drivers that suffered issues, Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano. On the final lap, stage 1, Bubba Wallace tried to make a bit of a bold pass on Joey Logano on the last lap, stage 1, collecting stage points. Those mean a lot right now. And unfortunately slid him into Logano, hit him in his left rear quarter panel, caused some contact with Logano. He hit the wall, also ended up damaging his toe link as well, front and I think rear toe link. So that really messed up his night. And for Bubba, he spun out, an unfortunate turn of events. But despite that, Bubba bounced back. Bubba Wallace finished, I believe, P7 tonight, which, as I mentioned in my playoffs review, Bubba Wallace needed a really good night tonight at Darlington, and to be fair, he really did. He had a good night. P7, top 10, only I think -1 behind 12th place in the playoffs, and heading to arguably one of his best tracks next weekend at Kansas. So Bubba Wallace is in a pretty prime place to get a lot of points, get himself into the playoffs, into the round of 12. Amazing. But yeah, after the bunch of incidents, another incident that I want to talk about is Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman. This is with 30-something laps to go. Coming off turn 4, Suarez has a good run on Alex Bowman. He goes to the inside down the front stretch. Bowman very aggressively blocks. Suarez goes back to the outside. Bowman blocks. And this second block, in my opinion, was really dumb. You can block once, and sure, okay, it's good. A second block that causes not only the guy you're trying to block to crash, but yourself to crash and causing an innocent bystander to crash, in this case Harrison Burton, it's a massive no-no. A massive no-no. Even the commentators on NBC said that was a bad move. It was brutal. It wasn't good. It just wasn't good at all. Not a good block. It caused both Bowman himself, Suarez and Harrison Burton to wreck. They were basically out of the race, so yeah. And it sucks because Bowman and Suarez were in the top 10, I believe, at the time of the incident, so, or at least in the top 15, top 20. So really shitty incident, to be honest. Really shitty. And really messed up Harrison Burns' night, who was having a really good night before that incident. So yeah, just an innocent bystander, so really can't do much. But after that was the last caution. And then it turned out in the last couple laps we would have a bit of a duel, a classic duel between Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick, two drivers that have been known for dirt track racing, two drivers that are experts at running the outside wall. It was a really good tussle, to be honest, between those two. Really good battle between Larson and Reddick. And also with Chris Buescher and William Byron joining the picture late. I believe the top four were separated by under a second by the time the race ended, as they all four crossed the line, under a second, which pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. One guy I want to talk about is Eric Jones, though. Eric Jones, it feels like you could give Eric Jones any type of equipment. Either it's current LMC, Spire, Colic, any type of equipment. He will drive that car into the top 10 or top 5 at Darlington and be in contention for the win. No questions asked. He's amazing at Darlington. He is truly amazing. I believe he finished either inside the top 10. Yes, inside the top 10. He finished inside the top 10, which amazing again. Like, you could literally give him any type of equipment and he will perform here at Darlington. It's amazing. Again, he ran well at Darlington tonight. Collected good stage points, ran up front, fought for the lead against Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, and he was good. Really good. I mean, heck, a lot of people said that, hey, first non-winner of the playoffs could be the same guy who won last year, so it was up there, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. Still finished inside the top 10, which, to be fair, the year LMC has had, Jesus, I mean, good enough. Plenty good. Another driver I want to talk about, Carson Hocevar, replacing the Noah Gragson, who terminated his contract with LMC. He won't be racing with them anymore, so maybe Hocevar's going to get some much seat time for them. Seat time. And I mean, like I said, he did good tonight. He did really good. Brought home number 42 car in P17, which, again, was a good performance. He was running in the top 20 a lot of the night, to be honest. Ran really well in the top 20 for, again, majority of the night. At the beginning of the race, he was running top 10 lap times compared to the top 10. So, I mean, Hocevar was doing really good. And this is like his second or third Cup start. So, I mean, by all means, Hocevar, really good job, man. Heck, he's racing at Kansas next week. So, I mean, Kansas is a pretty good track for Hocevar, so who knows what he could do. Again, like I said, auto racing is unpredictable. And tonight, in my opinion, showed that point. Auto racing is unpredictable. So, things happened, surprises were occurred, and I mean, plenty of good stuff happened. Again, tonight's race of the 7500 was good. It was a good 7500. And then again, after all the dust settled, the driver who came home on the top, who advances now to the round of 12, is Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson won the 7500 tonight after a fierce battle with Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, and William Byron at the end. It was it was fun. Granted, Darlington has always been a hard track to make passes at, especially for the race lead. I mean, it's always been hard, to be honest. Since, I don't know, early 2010s, it's always been hard to pass at Darlington for the lead. So, can't do much. Really can't do much. But despite that, it was a good race. Again, top 4, separated by under a second. Good stuff. It was good. Again, in my opinion, it was a good race tonight. Really fun, really entertaining, all of the above. Now, I want to talk about results. Let's talk about results. First place, obviously, Kyle Larson. Second place went to Tyler Reddick. Third place for Chris Buescher. Fourth for William Byron. Fifth place, Ross Chastain. And this is insane to me. Why? Because at the beginning of the race, Ross Chastain was nowhere. He was running low 20th, 27th, 28th, 29th, almost 30th. He was god-awful at the beginning. He was nowhere compared to the rest. Even Stenhouse. So, it was amazing to see. It was shocking. But, lots of adjustments, lots of stuff getting done, adjustments to the car, bumping up your driver, and Ross Chastain managed to come up fifth. Made small steps throughout the field, gained spots, until you look at the ticker and then you see Ross Chastain in the top 10, and you wonder how in the world is he there. But, hey, he was there, made an amazing comeback, truly an insane comeback. And then by the end, he finished in the top 5. A top 5 performance for Ross Chastain. And again, he didn't suffer any penalties or nothing. He was just slow at the beginning and middle part of the race. He was slow. Just slow, like a tractor. But come the end of the race, he was there. He was there at the end, running at even times faster laps than the first 4 cars ahead. So, I mean, good stuff. Good shit from Ross Chastain. A clutch top 5. Very clutch top 5, because during the race also he was below the cut line by even plus 10 points. And now I think thanks to his performance, he's like plus 11. So, really good. Really clutch performance from Ross Chastain. 6th place, Brett Keselowski. 7th place, Bubba Wallace. A clutch performance tonight from Bubba at arguably one of his worst tracks, in my opinion. So, I mean, top notch to Bubba. Good performance. And again, heading into one of his best tracks next week at Kansas. I mean, next week could be a pretty big week for Bubba Wallace. Who knows? Then you got 8th place, Chase Elliott. 9th place, Ryan Blaney. 10th place, Eric Jones. Again, top 10 performance. Kyle Busch, 11th. He had to start to the rear due to toe link issues. So, unfortunately, he was already suffering a big step back. But, bounced back, KFB. He comes home 11th, so not bad. And also despite having a pretty weird strategy, so not too shabby. Joey Logano, 12th place. Again, despite suffering toe link damage from the contact with Bubba Wallace earlier in the race, he was also pretty far back too compared to the rest. So, hey, he will take this 12th place, I assume. Good result. It's pretty good, although I don't really know if this puts him above or below the cut line. I think he's still above it, but not by much. Then you got AJ Allmendinger in 13th. Allmendinger was pretty good. Ran top 20, top 15, almost all race. Decent performance from AJ Allmendinger. Eric Almirola, 14th. Chase Briscoe, 15th. I mean, not too bad of a performance, but, I mean, it's there. Then you got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 16th. Carson Hocevar, 17th. Martrix Jr., 18th. Again, I think he was just, he was slow too after a couple bad pit stops, some issues on his car. He was just slow. Tonight was not a good night for MTJ. Comes home 18th. Gonna have to review what went wrong tonight and bounce back at Kansas. 19th, Kevin Harvick. I mean, during stage 3, Harvick genuinely looked like he was potentially the guy to beat tonight. He looked fast. He was catching Tyler Reddick. Until during one set of pit stops, where Kevin Harvick was heading to the pits, making his pit stop. Then Tyler Reddick, I don't know why, slows down so, like, he was going to, I think, head to the pits, but he was, I think, a couple yards away from the commitment cone. And if you run over the commitment cone, it's a violation. You're going to be sent to the tail of the field, or pass-through penalty, worse. But slowed down so much, and Ryan Newman, who admittedly had some issues with Reddick during the race, made some contact with Reddick. Newman spun out, and unfortunately, the pit lane was closed at the time of that caution. Harvick was just about to enter the pits, and the lights were red. Harvick, unfortunately, was in the pits, made his pit stop, got penalized, and had to go to the tail of the field. Which is definitely a shame for Harvick, because he looked like he had a car to potentially win the Sun 500 in his last attempt. And, unfortunately, didn't come to fruition. Tonight was just not meant to be for him. Comes home 19th. Definitely a shame and a pretty worth talking incident. I assume it's going to be talked about for a bit because no one really knows what went through Reddick's head at the time of the incident, so can't do much. Austin Dillon comes home 20th. Ty Gibbs, who was involved in the incident with Cindric, comes home 21st. Will Enjoy 22nd. Christopher Bell, 23rd. Definitely not the night Christopher Bell needed. I believe he's below the cut line, so he's going to need a good performance come Kansas next weekend. Then another playoff notable, Denny Hamlin, 25th. Yeah, after the loose tire, then getting involved in that incident with McDowell and Christopher Bell. Well, couldn't do much after that. So, 25th for Hamlin. He's still plus 27 at the bus, so unless something horrible happens to Denny Hamlin the first couple laps of Kansas that forces him to retire, DNF, he's still pretty good to make the playoffs, right? Surely he should still be good to move on. Who knows? Then after that, the last playoff notables we got is Michael McDowell, who unfortunately comes home 32nd. It's minus plenty of spots now in the playoffs. So, yeah, plus minus double digits now. So, yeah, definitely not a good night for McDowell. And the last place car is BJ McLeod, who suffered engine issues that caused a caution. So yeah, a topsy-turvy night at Darlington. Comers and goers, tire wear, strategy, playoff drivers struggling. Plenty of playoff drivers struggled tonight, and it produced a wild race, good race. In my opinion, I give it 8.9 out of 10. It was a good 7500. The 7500 to start the playoffs never disappoints, never does. And yeah, tonight was no exception. Another banger, another good race. Again, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another playoff notable that I may have forgot to mention, 16th. To be honest, gained playoff points, close to the cut line now. I mean, decent performance, to be honest, from Stenhouse. And by the way, he was a lap down even. He was slow too. But still, 16th. I mean, he'll take it. He'll pretty much take it. But now, that's it for my race review of the 7500. Again, good race, filled with a bit of chaos, bit of drama, bit of good racing, all the above. And for me, I enjoyed it. Fun 7500. Really fun. Next weekend, Kansas. First time I went to Kansas, our really race of the year. What will this weekend bring? Who knows? But overall, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, which would be awesome. It would mean a lot to me. And I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.